Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Conscious Man podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Lenihan, and in this episode, I want to talk about the quickest way to be happy and content in your life, and that is gratitude. Being grateful for what you have, being grateful for everything in your life, being grateful for the bad, the good, the in-between, all of it. This is an episode that I've been wanting to create for a while now, especially since I've gotten back from Cuba. And if you haven't been to Cuba or another third world country, it's hard to explain. It's something that you really need to experience yourself. The way that they live, day in and day out, is inspiring. You would think because they have so little, and their resources and opportunities are so slim, you would think that they'd be sad and disappointed, but in reality they're some of the happiest people I've ever met, which is why I wanted to do this episode, because they are grateful for what they have. They're happy, and that is because they live simple lives, they know what matters to them, and they just live in the moment, and they're grateful for every day that they have. And that is something that really inspired me. It's something that when I came home, I tried implementing more of in my life. So every day I write down things that I'm grateful for, and I have a group chat with my mom and my brother, and every day we ask each other, what are you grateful for today? It's such a simple question, and it can be such a simple response. Some days you're grateful that the sun came up. Some days we're grateful that our car started. Some days we're grateful just to have food in the fridge. Things that we get so used to and often don't really think of. Those are the things that you really need to notice. Those are the things that a lot of people in the world really wish that they had. All these things that we have, like cars and phones and the internet and all of this, they're all privileges. Look, having fancy things is great. But if you think that they're going to make you happy, that's when you're going to be disappointed. An example of this is before the truck that I currently have, I drove a 2010 Honda Civic. That car was the most reliable car anyone could ever drive. I drove it for like 3 or 4 years and the thing never broke down on me once. It was a beast. And when I first got the car, I was in love with it. I loved it, got me everywhere, it treated me good, easy on fuel, you name it. Great car. But after a while of driving it every day, I just started to get bored of it. The same car, turn the same ignition, shift the same gears. Everything was just the same, monotonous, driving this simple car. And I was in a coaching call with a few coaches, and I was explaining to them how badly I wanted a truck. My whole life, I wanted a truck. So because of that, because of the fact that I wanted a truck, I almost resented driving my car. I didn't want to drive it. I just didn't feel grateful for this car at all, right? It would get me to where I wanted to, but I didn't love the car. And the coach said, Aaron, look, if you don't appreciate this car that you're driving now, no vehicle that you get into is going to make you happy. No vehicle is going to fill that void. Until you become satisfied, until you become grateful for the vehicle that you're driving, the car that you're driving, no new vehicle is going to do that for you. Yes, maybe for the first few weeks or months, you're going to enjoy this new fancy vehicle, but after a while it's going to wear off and it's going to lead you into wanting another new vehicle because you're just going to get bored of it, just like I did with my car. And when they told me this, my mind was just blown. I was like, okay, wait. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let me try it. So I told myself that I am not gonna buy a new truck until I appreciate that car. Until I'm thankful for the fact that this car gets me everywhere, does what I need it to, and is just a reliable car. A privilege of mine to own this car. So what I did is I started to try and actually practice being grateful every time I got in my car. So I'd get in the car and I would just hold onto the steering wheel and I would just feel it. And I would turn the stereo up and I would just turn it up and just enjoy the sounds that it made and everything to do with it. I actually taught myself to love that car. So it wasn't needing to buy a new vehicle or buying that new truck to make me happy. It was just learning to be appreciative of the car then, to be grateful for it. So then the day came when I finally got my new truck, and fast forward over a year later, and I still love this thing. Every single time I get in that truck, I just love it. But the thing is, if I didn't have that coaching session where they didn't break that down for me, honestly, I don't know if I still would feel the same way, or if I'd be wanting the newest truck, a 2023, or wanting some new car or whatever. I know for a fact that I wouldn't appreciate my truck as much as I do if it wasn't for that coaching call. Accepting what is. A quote from Epictetus says, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well." So just imagine, something happened that we wished hadn't. Happens all the time, doesn't it? Now tell me this, which of these is easier to change? That event which happened in the past, or our opinion of it now? It might seem obvious, but far too often we get so hung up in the past, in past mistakes that we've made, and past wrongs that we've done, and things that have just gone wrong or happened to us. And we make these things about us, and we take them forward into the future, into now, and we carry them with us as a burden, and they hold us back. And we think of these things negatively, and we think, oh, why did it happen to me? Why did it happen to me? Why couldn't it have happened any other way? Well, sorry to break it to you, but it happened. It happened. Now you're left to deal with it. So what are your options? You can either A, resent it. You can B, just pretend it never happened. Or C, just say, okay, look, it happened. It is what it is. I'm going to accept it. Embrace it. Or as the Beatles put it, let it be. And this ties into a word used very commonly in Stoicism called acquiescence, which means to accept what is, which inspired me to get this tattoo on my wrist, amor fati, which means to love your fate, to not only accept what happened, to accept that thing that happened to you in the past, but to just love it, to embrace it fully, and just realize what are your alternatives. To let it knock you down, to let it weigh you down, to let it hold you back? Or can you use it as leverage, as an advantage, as a stepping stone, as a learning? Ryan Holiday, my favorite author, said this: "To wish for what happened to happen is a clever way to avoid disappointment, because nothing is contrary to your desires. But to actually feel gratitude for what happens, to love it, that is a recipe for happiness and joy." Showing gratitude in the face of adversity, struggles, and challenges, that is when we actually are learning the lessons that we are being taught. Showing gratitude is easy when things are going well, but ask yourself, what gratitude are you showing when your back is against the wall? When you're struggling, when things aren't going your way? How much gratitude do you have for this very moment? How much can you say to God, to the universe, to whatever you believe in, that I am dealing with this and I'm grateful for it? I know there's a lesson here somewhere and I'm going to figure it out no matter what. And I'm going to grow from this. What shows our truest character is how we show up in the face of a difficult challenge. My third point, my third idea, is that more is not always better. Having the idea in your head that more is always better will take you out of the present moment and out of gratitude. If you don't appreciate what you have now, why would your brain let you have more? For example, if you don't appreciate how much money you have, your brain is going to make it very difficult to hold on to or to make more money. This is because if you are stressed about your financial situation, your brain will do whatever it can do to make sure that you don't make more money or that you don't hold on to any more money. This is because if you're stressed about your financial situation, your brain will do whatever it can to avoid you having or making more money. Because subconsciously, it'll link money to stress. It'll think money equals stress. So more money equals more stress. So even if you're in a terrible place financially, take a deep breath. Notice where you're at. Be grateful for where you're at. And the fact that you have the opportunity to turn this around right now, today, this week. Because somebody, somewhere, would love to be in the situation that you're in. That's all I have for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this one. I dare you to send somebody a message. Someone you appreciate, but maybe you don't let them know often enough. Send them a quick message and just say, hey, I appreciate you. Thanks for being in my life. Thanks for being there. I love you. Because you never know how much you make somebody else's day by letting them know how much they make yours. That's all I have. Thank you for listening. Now get out there and be your hero. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.